Hello, all. My name is Zachary Bedwell. I'm going to be talking about the brainstem specifically in today's PowerPoint. I believe that the brainstem is very, very important. I think that it is, vital to many different pieces within, everyday, functioning. I think that, a lot of different pieces, regarding the other parts of the brain, all are, central to this, most important part being the brainstem. What is the brainstem? The brainstem kind of connects your brain to your spinal cord, like I mentioned, many other different parts of the brain and body. Three main points and parts are the midbrain, um, pons, and the medulla oblongata. Um, the brainstem is specifically responsible for basic life functions like breathing, heart rate, blood pressure, homeostasis, all of those. It is, as I mentioned again, the command center for all of the brain in the body. Some other functions that the brain does, and specifically the brainstem, is responsible for is balance, hearing, eye movement, seeing, swallowing, tasting, touching, your facial movements and sensations, as well as all of your mannerisms. So all of these different physical, tangible things or functions, as you call them, are mainly responsible and specifically in the brainstem. Why is the brainstem specifically my favorite part of the brain? Well, obviously, there's a ton of different answers. I could, go on for 2 hours on, research and science and, multiple different reasons as to why I think and can tell you that, it is the most important part. But, here's a few things. It is completely essential for, our survival, which is, very powerful. It's the most powerful part of the brain. This part of the brain helps us keep, functioning and alive without even, thinking about it. It's kind of that flight or fight response. Plays a key role in our sleep cycle and sleep schedule, as well as our consciousness on a day-to-day basis, and I think that is huge. Yeah, a little more in depth on the brainstem and specifically sleep. I think sleep's most important to me. It's one of the most important things to me, and every single day, I try to get 8 to 10 hours of sleep every single night, on a minimum. I think that is huge. Hitting that REM cycle and getting that full REM cycle of sleep, and that full circadian rhythm is huge. The brainstem regulates and wakes that sleep cycle or circadian rhythm. And those pons are going to be the specific, part of the brain that initiates you in that, REM cycle, which is specifically the areas, where dreams occur, all of those, you know, different parts of your sleep cycle. It works with other parts of the brain, to manage, alertness, drowsiness, sleepiness, tiredness, hungriness, all of those different feelings, as I mentioned. It's the part of the brain that tells your body, hey, I'm tired, I'm sleepy, I'm hungry, or hey, it's time to go, you're good, and you're energized, and, we're good to go. And I think that is some of the most important parts of, the brainstem and some of the important parts of, and, vital parts of everyday living. Besides sleep, the brainstem has, like I mentioned, multiple different other functions and responsibilities, including, it works and coordinates with your hypothalamus to regulate body temperature and hormones, whether you're hot, you're cold, that homeostasis, as I mentioned, as well as, attention and, arousal and emotions, whether you're happy, sad, like I keep mentioning, tired, hungry, energized, ready to go. And like I keep mentioning again, maintains that homeostasis, within our body. Some common disorders I want to discuss specifically, that are just very, very common and things you hear about in today's world that are going to be specifically affecting the brainstem, very directly. Blood clots, brain tumors, encephalitis, heart attacks, strokes, cardiac arrest, anything that's going to affect, the blood flow and oxygen to that brain, the brainstem. Those are going to be things that are huge and vital to and major, disorders that are going to, long term, affect the brainstem and potentially major other parts of your brain. In conclusion, brainstem is a very huge piece and role of our nervous system. Find it interesting how it makes, it mixes automatic survival skills with such a complex regulation of many different parts. Our sleep and cycles depend on this small but very powerful structure. I think it's huge for everybody to understand how to keep it healthy, and understand how important and vital of a role it plays in our everyday function. If you have any questions, comments, please feel free, ask me, shoot me a message, email, comment on this post. Thank you very much. I hope it was somewhat informational at least, and hope to hear from you soon. Thank you.